Welcome in, everybody, to Diddy or Didn't He, night 27. I am Pugs Moran, and we do this every single night that the Sean Diddy Combs trial is in session there in the federal courthouse in Manhattan, only on Radio Misfits, radiomisfits.com. Today, as we say, day 27 days. Oh, geez, this thing, and it's wrapping up. You guys, it's wrapping up. This trial is coming to an end. They're giving us dates, and they're saying we should be done by today. Today was a good day to be a juror if you're into porn, I guess. If you're a juror who's not into porn, today not such a good day. They watched a lot of porn. They watched a lot of home amateur porn. They watched a lot of Diddy amateur porn. It was a horny day is the best way that I can. My favorite part of the whole thing was they made him watch like 20 minutes of Diddy filmed porn, freak off porn. You know, they're all watching in there. They made him watch like 20 minutes, and then when it was done, the judge is like, "All right, you guys, everybody, take a break. Everybody." It's just like it was so great. It was perfect. Yeah, everybody should take a break. Anyway, it is the 27th day. The trial is wrapping up. The defense is getting their cracks now. Closing arguments are going to be this week. Judge Aram Subramanian had originally hoped that he could have this whole thing to the jury and wrapped up by the 4th of July. I don't think that's going to be the case. We'll see. But we are absolutely coming to a conclusion here in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Before the resumption, though, of testimony today, lawyers mapped out exactly what it is that we can be looking for. Here's what it says. Let me read this to you. Assistant U.S. Attorney Maureen Comey, she's the lead prosecutor for the government side. Maureen Comey said that she expects testimony of Homeland Security investigator Joe Sirchillo. I'm going with Sirchillo as the last name. She expects that to continue into Tuesday. The defense is expected to rest by the end of Tuesday after submitting some exhibits into evidence. The attorneys intend to meet for a charge conference on Wednesday morning, and closing arguments would be Thursday. So I think that means no show Wednesday. Is that what that means? We're not doing a show on Wednesday? I guess maybe we'll have to see. I don't know. That sounds to me like there's not going to be any court on Wednesday. Joe Sirchillo, he was the guy that we heard from on Friday. He is a special agent with the Homeland Security Department. He was on the stand yesterday because he's an expert in making sense of charts and graphs and all of this stuff. The prosecution has created these very elaborate charts that the jury has been looking at throughout the course of this trial. These charts, they have everything from, time that this text was made, where was Diddy, but basically a lot of stuff that is very confusing. So what Joe Sirchillo, Agent Sirchillo's, or Sirchillo, I don't know, I'm going to go with Sirchillo, Agent Sirchillo's forte is in taking these very complicated graphs and charts and all of that and summarizing them. He's a summary expert. He's up there to explain to the jury what it is you're looking at. Okay. So he's been on the stand since Friday. He was on today. He's going to be on tomorrow. And they began today. Let's get started with how it all started today, because today's actually, we're going to be able to rip through this pretty quick today. Today, the jury watched porn. As I said, they watched lots of porn. The jury watched at least 13 clips recorded in November of 2021, December of 2021, February of 2022, August of 2022, and October of 2022. They saw all the freak-offs. Now, who would that be starring? 2022, 2021. These are Jane freak-offs. I believe they watched Cassie freak-off tapes earlier in the trial, but these would be Jane freak-off tapes. It says here, the jurors listened through headphones as they watched the clips. The public and press cannot see the videos, which are under seal. So understand, just being in the courtroom as an observer or a reporter or a friend of the family, that kind of thing, just being in the courtroom doesn't mean that you're able to view these personal, private sex clips, these home porn movies that Diddy was making. I don't know how they're looking at it. Are like the jury? You imagine the jury is there in their jury box, and it says here they've got headphones. Is there a monitor? Is there a single monitor? Do they all have individual monitor? I don't know, but whatever. this is what they did today. For a great period of time, they sat around and they watched porns. They listened through headphones as they watched clips. The panel, the jurors, watched videos after Agent Sirchillo, a special agent for Homeland Security, referred to a summary chart compiled by the prosecution. So it's like a bad porn experience. So it's like you're watching porn, but you've got like some insurance salesman like giving you all of these really technical details, that kind of thing. The chart referenced sexually explicit videos showing Jane with other men. All right, so they're watching porn and he's like, here's what you're looking at here. Or here's what was, more to the point, here's what was going on around this time period. So here's the sex flick. And it was here. Remember, we talked about the phone calls to Angels for Cowboy or Cowboys for Angels, the escort agency. All right, so this text took place before this video you're watching. These are the people. You know what I mean? He's just trying to bring it all. He's trying to make it all make sense. I don't know. I'm so confused. And I've been covering this. I'm way deep into this, and I'm really confused. All I know is that Diddy had a lot of freak-offs with a lot of different hot chicks and like 3 or 4 different escorts that we've heard about. The charts shown by Agent Sirchillo cite several other explicit videos that the jury did not view. Sirchillo, he confirmed that about 50 explicit videos were recorded between December 17th and the 21st of 2021. 50 with the clips. Geez, 50? I know it's clips, and they might just be a bunch of clips from the same sexual thing, but I can't imagine that. That's a lot of sex. That's a lot of sex going on in Diddy's world. 4 days? That's 4 days. 50 clips. You're going to have 50 quality sex clips over 4 days? He also confirmed, Agent Sirchillo did, he confirmed New York hotel stays and Miami hotel stays, drawing them all in line with he's paying for this and he's flying them here. That's what he's trying to do. He's trying to make the boring technical case to the jury that this was racketeering, that this was all being run through Bad Boy Entertainment and it's a big criminal enterprise. All right. So after they saw the videos, they got a break. The judge said, you guys could take a break. So they took about a 15-minute break. And then shortly after that was lunch. No, wait, before lunch. What did they do before lunch? They did something before lunch. Trying to find my place. It says here, jurors take a break. They've watched at least 40 minutes of sexually explicit videos so far today. Yeah, probably need a break, man. Probably need a break. I'm not a big porn guy, but I can imagine after watching 40 minutes of porn, like, and I'm wearing khakis, you know, and I'm like, oh, Jesus, can I go to the bathroom or something? I'm just saying, it wouldn't be abnormal to have those kinds of thoughts. All right, court resumes after a quick break. And let's see here. The jury sees messages now from Diddy that he sent to an entertainer. Oh, this is what they were referencing earlier. Messages now between Diddy, basically text of Diddy hiring escorts from this escort agency, Cowboys for Angels. It says here, the jury saw messages of Diddy that he sent to an entertainer from Cowboys for Angels escorts, telling him when to arrive at the hotel room. So Diddy's hands-on. Look at him. He's putting all this together himself, telling him what time to get there. Hours later, an employee from Cowboys for Angels texted Combs saying that he still needed to pay $600. Oh, that's embarrassing. That's embarrassing. He owes a escort agency money, to which Diddy responded, seriously, this is text that were shown to the jury today. Diddy is texting with an escort agency. They say, hey, you still owe us $600. Diddy texts back, LOL, he couldn't even perform. Like, apparently Diddy broke this dude. Apparently the freak off, he couldn't keep up with the demands of a freak off, and Diddy had a problem. So Diddy was withholding $600 because dude couldn't perform. All right, so once again, an employee for Cowboys for Angels texts Diddy saying that he still owes $600, to which he responds, LOL, he couldn't even perform. All right, at which point the employee for the escort agency texts back this little gem. The employee explained that Combs was, quote, paying for the man's time. Combs told the employee that she should be nice to him, adding that he was a longtime customer. So there you have it. Diddy admitting right there in text shown to the jury that he is a longtime customer of Angels for Cowboys for Angels, male escort agency. It's just in a vacuum. That sounds like a fun fact that I'd like to know more about from Diddy. Diddy, what do you mean? Why are you buying so many male escorts? What's going on there? Jury was then shown messages between Diddy and his chief of staff, KK, Christina Karam. We've talked about her. She is good. Well, no matter what happens with this trial, I think that if Christina Karam is out there on the open market looking for a new gig, I think there's going to be plenty of A-list celebrities who could do worse than Christina Karam. KK is one hell of an assistant. She's got everything on lockdown. Everybody respects her, and she seems to have an ability to push back on Diddy, which by the way, is not all that odd. We've seen in many of these cases, people, pushing back on Diddy, whether it was girls that he was trying to get to do things, Christina Karam, his assistant. We've heard other assistants who, although not quite as confident in their pushback, they did, from times they were able to say, hey, I don't like this. So it's not this like crazy Adolf Hitler type thing that we're getting out of Diddy. I gotta be honest. I'm like thinking, Diddy's whole world, he's a sex freak. He likes like weird sex and he likes to get high and party. And yeah, he's kind of narcissistic. But then there's like all of these moments where you're like, oh, he's kind of nice. Oh, look at him. That was a nice thing for Diddy to do. I mean, Jesus, just the existence of Jane alone. Jane is suing this guy for tens of millions of dollars, and he's still paying her rent every month. He's still taking care of Jane. Say what you will about Diddy. You could say he's a sex freak. You could say he's a narcissist. You could say he's probably an asshole. And he absolutely beat up Cassie. We know that. We know that he pimp slaps women. We know that's a part of his game. So I guess these are not good things. Anyway, we've seen him be kind of a decent guy at times. That they do not forgive the other terrible things. I'm just saying. All right. So in this message between Combs and Christina Karam, the jury saw more text messages. Combs, excuse me, it says here, Combs told KK, Christina Karam, to keep someone named Chelsea. All right, check this out. This is another little, man, Diddy must have had an insane sex drive because he's just got women. Chelsea is a new girl that we're learning about. We know about, there was Gina, who never materialized. Gina was supposed to be a witness. Gina was supposed to be up there with Jane and Cassie. Gina was supposed to be a witness for the prosecution, but Gina went missing like a week before the trial started, and they've been saying, we're trying to find Gina, and Gina's been referenced a bunch of times. It doesn't look like Gina's showing up. Prosecution's done. Gina ain't going to be a part of this. And now we're hearing about Chelsea. Apparently there's a girl, Chelsea, who wasn't named here, who either doesn't want to participate or is, dead. I don't know. We don't know who Chelsea is, but here we're hearing about her for the first time. So Diddy is talking to KK, his chief of staff, otherwise known as Christina Karam. He's talking to her, okay? And he's sort of the logistics of his sex girls, right? He's talking to Christina Karam about where he's keeping all of his different girls that he uses for freak-offs and stuff. Combs told KK to keep Chelsea at a Miami hotel and get a hotel suite at a different hotel for Jane. Okay. Chelsea and Jane can't be at the same hotel. He's got two in the same town. That's baller. That's baller. A little too much for me. I don't think I can handle that or would even want that really at this age. But, I guess if you're the boy, you got to be the boy. He told KK that Chelsea would move from the hotel to his Miami home after Jane left. This has got to hurt for Jane to see now. Although, Jane, shut up. He's still paying your rent, for crying out loud. He told Karam that Chelsea would move from the hotel to his Miami residence after Jane left. The chart also included flight records booked by Combs' travel manager for Jane from Miami to Los Angeles. Agent Sirchillo reviewed documents around November 8th and 10th. It says here, Diddy texted Jane asking if she wanted to see him and an entertainer called Paul. We know Paul. It says here entertainer. But if you remember, Paul is Diddy's personal trainer who also moonlights as one of his sex horses. He's one of the dudes that Diddy uses for freak off sex, but also has a purpose in Diddy's everyday life. He's Diddy's trainer. So back in 2021, November 8th through 10th, Diddy texted Jane asking if she wanted to get with Paul. Okay, telling him to that says here, then Combs later messaged Paul telling him to let him know when he's close. All right, so what this shows here is that he already had Paul on the way, Paul the sex horse / personal trainer. He already had Paul on the way when he was asking Jane if she was into it. So I guess that kind of shows that although Diddy presented it as, are you down for this? It also shows that if she wasn't, Paul was already on the way and Diddy was going to find a way to get her into it, no matter what he had to do. That's probably what the prosecution is trying to suggest with this. In that time frame, Jane. Okay, so during this time frame, November 8th through 10th, 2021, when Diddy was trying to get Paul and Jane together, in that very same time frame, Jane was also texting Sly. Do you remember Sly? Sly's another sex horse. Sly is the troubling sex horse, though. So Sly's a problem. Paul seems like a good guy. Sly is trouble. Sly is a porn star, right? Remember, Sly is a porn star. Sly is a porn star who tried to shake Jane down for $10,000. Sly told Jane that if she gave him $10,000, he wouldn't go public about him participating in these sex things. I don't know what happened there. I think Jane told Sly about it, and we never heard about it, so I imagine Sly got paid off. But okay, so during this time, Jane is also texting with, she's got Paul, the sex horse, on his way over, but she's also in this time frame, she's texting with Sly, the sex horse, the porn star sex horse, as opposed to Paul, who's the personal trainer sex horse. Jane is also texting with Sly about getting him to travel to Los Angeles from Atlanta. Diddy was messaging his travel manager about booking a flight and hotel for Sly and Jane, and then relaying the travel information to Sly. All right, so Combs was booking flight information, trying to get Sly and Jane in the same town and probably more to the point, the same hotel room. And Jane is texting with Sly and updating Sly on the information, the booking and all that stuff that Diddy is doing. All right, whatever. He's very involved. He's very involved here. And I dare say, very involved, it seems, personally. Like, this is not something that he delegated to his assistants at Bad Boy. So the argument, remember, is going to come down to, was Diddy paying for all of these things in his capacity as a private citizen who's also a perv? Or was he doing it through this corporation, Bad Boy Entertainment? And at which point it becomes a criminal organization. See, they're trying to figure out, because both are bad, like, he's a scumbag either way. But one of them, they take his multi-billion-dollar corporation, and the other one, they can't touch it. So I think the defense is trying to make the case that all of this was done with Diddy's personal money on his personal time. The jury saw several messages between Combs and his then chief of staff, KK, says here, including messages in which he requested $5,000 cash, and she notified Diddy that some baby oil had been, again, more baby oil. We always got to do with the baby oil. All right, so again, Homeland Security agent, summary witness expert, Joe Sirchillo is still on the stand. Now he's going to talk about debauchery. Remember what debauchery is? Debauchery is another name for freak-offs. We've got originally, we were introduced to the concept as freak-offs. Then we learned about hotel nights and debauchery, which is something that I think Jane called them. Then there were king nights. Remember, then we got wild king night. He kept rebranding whatever these fuck fests, which is what they are in hotel rooms, kept rebranding. So debauchery. Back in a time when they were calling it debauchery, Homeland Security agent Joe Sirchillo is now going to testify about some texts and stuff that happened then. Joe Sirchillo next reviewed records from January of 2023, when the government asserts Diddy and Jane hosted 3 entertainers during a, quote, hotel night in Los Angeles. Combs sent Jane an audio message. According to the records, here's what it said. Hey, let me know. All right, this is Diddy talking to Jane. Hey, let me know right now if I should book debauchery for 9 o'clock. Yes or no answer. All right, so Diddy's into a little debauchery, a little freak off. He wants to have it at 9 o'clock. So he reaches out to Jane and he says, hey, let me know if I should. Not, hey, we are doing this. Remember, before the trial started, that's how we assumed it was all being presented, that these women were like, hey, you get your little sexy suit on and you get into this hotel. No, we have seen time and time again examples of Diddy just being a manipulative, awful boyfriend, but nothing more. So he sends her a text. Hey, let me know right now if I should book debauchery for 9 o'clock. Yes or no? Again, not good for the prosecution because right there we have it in the text where he's offering her a yes or a no. Do you not want to do this? If you don't want to do it, we won't do it. That is different than someone being forced into doing things against their will, which is the way this was all presented to us. Hey, let me know right now if I should book debauchery for 9 o'clock. Diddy texts Jane. Jane texts him back, yeah, it's a thumbs up. She then asked him for money to buy new clothes. All right, so he's like, hey, let me know right now. Should I book debauchery for 9 o'clock? Yes or no? She responds, yeah, hell yeah. Oh, and also I need some money for clothes. Diddy sent her $15K. $15K. Jane texts back, yes, it's a thumbs up. She then asked him for money to buy new clothes. Combs sent another audio message stating, sent you 15,000, baby girl. I mean, calling this sex trafficking is really, really undermining actual sex trafficker, isn't it? Calling this sex trafficking? $15K. Oh my God. There's a bunch of teenage girls in the back of a shipping container right now who would really appreciate $15K. But see, they're really being sex trafficked. They're not just social climbers trying to, hang out with an A-list pop star. $15K. Sent you $15K, baby girl, he said in a message. The jury saw flight records for all three entertainers that he flew in from other places. This is a problem. This is a problem if he was flying people in across state lines for the purpose of illegal sexual activity. That's a real crime. That's a real crime. That could be a big problem. And they saw records today of that. Could be a big problem for him personally, but also remember, could also be a big problem for his business. If he was paying through this for his business, if his business was what was behind him being able to fly people cross state lines for illicit sexual purposes, then yeah, the business is fucked. And I think on some level, they're kind of like, if Diddy goes to jail for 10 years, that's fine. But Bad Boy Entertainment must stay whole. I do get the impression they are trying to make sure that everybody knows Bad Boy Entertainment is a completely its own thing. So, okay. So that's what we know they're doing. Combs scheduled one of the entertainers through Cowboys and Angels. It says here, Jane paid Cowboys for Angels $1,100 on Cash App and texted Combs that he should send that as proof of payment. I don't know what that is, but what they're showing is that they communicated about paying for sex. They communicated about, the escort agency. And I'm sorry, that is still illegal. That is illicit sexual. That's the illicit sexual thing. The fact that prostitution is illegal and he's paying a prostitute to come to a different state to have sex. I mean, that's complicated. If you're trying, I think that there's a lot that was said about Diddy before this trial started that has proven to be just false, just nonsense. But man, this is where you get Al Capone on tax evasion. These little things that the prosecution is really leaning into. Because I'm sorry, everything else about him being a monster and all that, it never came to be in this trial. That doesn't mean the prosecution is dead. They can still get him on stuff like this. All right, then they broke for lunch. After lunch, defense lawyer Tenny Garagos, now she started her cross-examination there of Agent Sirchillo. Garagos went through a September 23 invoice from Diddy's travel management company that listed expenses, including flights for Jane and Sly for the trip to New York. All right, so defense is now up here after he has shown that Diddy paid for this and that and that, and it's bad and evil and blah, blah, blah. So that was prosecution. So now they have lunch. After lunch, defense shows up. We got Tenny Garagos, who's been an absolute pit bull this entire trial. Tenny Garagos is like, yeah, okay, so let's talk about some of these things. Yeah, it looks like Diddy's flying prostitutes around. Yeah, that's probably not a good thing. But I wonder, can you tell me exactly where did this come from? Where did he pay for this? So the defense is now trying to show, where did this money come from, right? Was he using Bad Boy Entertainment funds, or was he using Diddy fund money? Because there is a difference. There really is a legal difference, at least in this context. Garagos went through a September 23 invoice from Diddy's travel company that listed expenses, including flights for Jane and Sly. The invoice says various expenses for Sean Combs. Tenny Garagos, highlighted that the invoice lists Combs personally and not one of his business entities. See, this is what, of all of the things that have been said, all of the character assassination, which is probably, appropriate. He's not a good guy. His character is easy to assassinate. But through all of that, I really think that on some level, the defense attorneys are like, you might have to do some jail time, but we got to save the business. That's what everybody is most concerned about. Save the business. Defense then shows the jury several more minutes of porn. That's right. You thought the 40 minutes or so that they watched earlier in the day was, nope. We got more. The defense has some clips that they want to show. The defense shows jury several minutes of explicit video clips. Tenny Garagos has addressed a certain time frame. November the 8th through 10th of 2021. This is the same time frame that was addressed by Comey earlier in the day. Tenny Garagos has addressed a certain time frame. It says Garagos pointed to some messages that Jane sent during this time that were not included in the summary chart. All right, so earlier we had Agent Sirchillo. He's up there and he's got his charts and he's like, yeah, this is what that says. And all of the things that he was talking about were stuff that was introduced by the prosecution. They were like, tell us about the time he did this. Tell us about the time he did that. So now you got Tenny Garagos, the defense. She's up there. She's like, hey, Joe, you didn't talk about everything, did you? There were some messages that you didn't mention while you were up here a couple hours ago. So now they're getting into that. And these messages, I imagine, are messages that probably help Diddy's case. So let's get into them. After Combs texted Jane asking if she wanted to see him and an entertainer called Paul. Okay, remember that? Okay. So remember earlier we heard about Diddy texting Jane and saying, hey, you wanna hook up with Paul? You down for a freak off? And if you remember, he had already called Paul. So we knew that Paul was already on the way. Like Paul's coming. So even though he said yes or no, that kind of suggests that even if the answer was no, he was going to try and push forward. All right. So Combs texts Jane. He asks her, do you want to see Paul? Jane texted back, yeah, I'm all for it. And then she got $15,000. Remember, she went shopping. She said, I could use some money for clothes. All right. Well, that wasn't all she texted. And the prosecution, they didn't, share all the texts. But Tenny Garagos did. Like this one, Jane wrote back to Diddy that she was looking forward to it and that she was hungry. Or I'm sorry, horny. Hungry. I'm hungry. That was a mistake. Sorry. She was horny. She's like, yeah, baby, I'm horny. Prosecution didn't show that one because that shows a willing participate in a weird sex thing. I'm horny. You're not forcing me to do this. I'm horny. Oh, and I want to go shopping for clothes. Oh, here's 15,000. It's a good day for Jane. I mean, says she's horny. She says she's into it. She likes Paul. We know she likes Paul. Paul is like the favorite sex horse. Combs asked Jane what she wanted to do, telling her in texts to be explicit. Yeah, prosecution didn't share any of this. Jane then texted Diddy descriptions of sexual interactions that she wanted to have with Paul. In other texts, Jane sent explicit messages to Sly and told him what she wanted to do. After one encounter, Jane wrote to Sly, so happy that you are such a sweetheart, and adding, thank you for making me feel so beautiful. In another message Jane sent to sex horse Sly, getting flashbacks, followed by a drooling emoji. All right, so Jane doesn't sound tortured. This is in her free time. This is not even her sending bullshit to Diddy that she could say, well, I only said that because, no, this is Jane in her spare time having a relationship with these sex horses, these male prostitutes. One of them's a porn star. She's like sending him drooling emojis saying she's having flashbacks of the time he plowed her. I've been having problems seeing Jane as a victim, but Cassie is the troubling one because we've got the video of Cassie, but we've got to separate it. Cassie also showed herself to be on many occasions a willing participant who had an end game in mind. Cassie wanted to be a pop star. That was her end. Garagos then had the jury watch more sexually explicit videos. This also from November 10th. I guess that would be the freak off with Paul. The jury then watched several other clips of sexually explicit videos from November and December, totaling more than 5 additional minutes. Oh, jeez, what a day, huh? Oh, my God. Earlier today, prosecutors showed the jury more than 12 minutes of sexually explicit video, 20 minutes before that. A total, we're at like 45 minutes of porn today. Like 45 minutes of porn the jury watched. Ah, my goodness. And that was it. The jury was basically dismissed after that. That was only Agent C, man. That's what we're going to call him, Sirchillo. Agent C, Agent Sirchillo from Homeland Security. He was the only person on the stand today. He's going to be back tomorrow. He's going to open up. Well, here, I'll read you exactly what we have to look forward to because I think they go into some details here. It says here, the jury's been dismissed for the day. Defense attorney Tenny Garagos said that she has about an hour and 15 minutes of additional questioning for Homeland Security Officer Joe Sirchillo. She's going to do that on Tuesday morning. The parties are discussing now logistics. So the attorneys, jury's dismissed, court is done for the day. Tenny says she's going to need Agent Sirchillo for about an hour tomorrow morning. All right. And now after that, now the attorneys and the judge, they're all sort of meeting right now after court happens. It says the parties are discussing logistics for the rest of the week. Garagos has said that both sides expect their closing arguments to take 4 hours. 4 hours of closing arguments. Holy crap. Man, I wish there was a way. Because again, following this court case without cameras in the courtroom or without audio or being able to really follow it, processing body language and all that kind of stuff. In order to do that, we've been able to pull it off, by reading blogs and line by line accounting for what's said in court. I've been able to pull this off. Closing arguments, we're really going to take a step back. Closing argument, we're not going to, we really need to feel the closing arguments. 4 hours of closing arguments are believed to be expected from both sides. Or at least that's according to Tenny Garagos. She says closing arguments will likely continue, or they'll begin on Thursday. They'll continue into Friday. The government will then have an opportunity to give a rebuttal after the defense's closing argument. And that's it, guys. That's day 27 of Diddy or Didn't He. Agent Joe was up there with his charts and all of that. He'll be up there again tomorrow. And then here we go, folks. We'll see. Wednesday, I think, is going to be an off day. And then closing arguments Thursday and Friday. All right, and don't forget, join me every single day for The Rant with me, Pugs Moran. It's hot topics, current events, all the things that people are talking about in the world. I do it without the prism of politics. I'm not a partisan guy. Hot topics, talk radio the way it used to be, where you don't really care how you voted. Just regular people talking about the day, the world. That's every day here on Radio Misfits. It's The Rant with me, Pugs Moran. Can I get you to like, follow, subscribe, and make sure that you're with us for all of what comes next in the Sean Diddy Combs trial. Once again, it's Diddy or Didn't He every single day here on Radio Misfits. I am Pugs Moran, and I guess that's it, right? I guess we're done for today. All right. Have a good one. Bye, everybody.